What a legend.
I was about to say the exact same. Thank you, Niall. Oh, this microphone is doing my head in. You hear that echo?
Yeah, I can, but I'm not carrying on about it.
There you go. I'm very fiery. Oh, it's been a stressful day, Elliot.
Niall, sorry. Niall from Ireland.
How sick's that? We're trending globally.
Oh no! He's in defence! The boat's in defence! They're all in defence! Oh, unbelievable!
Sound check?
Sound check.
Cheers.
It's actually illegal to cheers alcohol with non-alcohol. So for our eagle-eyed listeners and watchers out there, we know you'll be across it. I am actually off the booze at the moment because I thought you guys might get sick of looking at all my multiple chins. So I'm on a bit of a health kick at the moment for a few weeks, so I do apologise for drinking sparkling mineral water, but Scotty is on the apple juice.
Yeah, I'm... you make me feel bad though, but hey, I've lost 6 kilo while still having a cheeky beverage on this pod. So
you did the hard work.
I don't know why you're on water. I think I don't think it's acceptable. Surely you could just run a little bit more and then justify the extra calories. So you get no calories drinks.
The legs on the bloke, as if I could run any more.
But yes, that's why we knew someone's going to. I said to you, there's no way no one's picking up the fact that says no sugar around the top of it. But yeah, we are here for episode 17, dude. These are flying by. This month has been huge. We've put out nearly a pod every single week and we're having so much fun doing it. And fortunately, it's YouTube. We just keep coming back, mate. Doesn't matter what happens. We're back for another one, and we're back here today for a pre-brief of the Bathurst 1000.
Yeah. So this one we thought, obviously, pre-Bathurst, so there's not really a lot to talk about, but we wanted to just cover...
Well, there is, but we'd probably get it all wrong, and then we just look like idiots. So
well,
correct. Not to predict everything.
And we know everyone likes to jump all over us if we do get anything right, even when we get it right. So we thought we'd talk about some of our favourite things about Bathurst, and I think... You know, it's such an iconic race, and it's the motorsport Melbourne Cup or Grand Final, if you like.
Yeah,
so
impressive.
For us as motorsport fans, it's as good as it gets.
Yeah.
There's heaps of history with the joint.
Everything just like this week, doesn't it? It just starts to, we're only a week out, really. Like this time next week, what is it? It's Thursday when we're recording this podcast.
Yeah.
I will have been on track this time next week. So
yeah.
It starts to feel real. And yeah, Bathurst is like Scotty Mack once said, it's like one of my favourite quotes when talking about Bathurst. It's like Christmas morning, but not everyone's guaranteed a present.
So
it's like one person at the end of that day, or two people at the end of that day are going to be sitting there with a smile on their face.
So do you still get, because some people go to famous tracks around the world and they say they get goosebumps and stuff. As you roll down the hill and you go past the Union, you're heading in towards the circuit.
Oh, I get the goosebumps.
Do you still get there and you see the Mount Panorama sign for the first time? There's something about it, and I've never done a 1,000, but I've raced there a lot, and it even still doesn't matter what event it is, whether it's a 1,000, 12-hour, 6-hour, whatever the event is.
It's special, yeah.
Every time I turn up, I'm like, this joint is just off its head. So
I think it's still the Mount Panorama on the hill when you see that. Like that first time, it's almost like revealed under the arch as you drive in. That I think it's actually the Bathurst sign, but then the Mount Panorama on the hill when you see it for the first time. But I think it's something I always try to do though is you get there so early and it's quite easy to be emotionally drained by race day because it just means so much that weekend. It's like, I know it's equal points, but for some reason, RD said in the last pod he chooses Bathurst over a championship. And it's like, I think he did anyway. Pretty sure he did.
He definitely did. Sorry, I went a bit blank then, but no, he did. He 100% did.
But so it's one of those weeks that like you can get caught up in the emotion. Yeah. It's probably like grand final week for an AFL player. You can get caught up in it all and be exhausted by the time you get there. So I like to just try and not think about, as impossible as that is, but you don't think about the Sunday. You just take every session and every lap as it comes. Yeah. You try and, it's like tick every box. It's like the first one, complete lap 1. Every time I go there, lap 1, doesn't matter if it was in the bloody Holden Astra we did in 2012 when I drove that 12-hour. At the end of the lap, you got the adrenaline rush, you're shaking. It's just a track sort of like no other. And then the next one is like finish every lap. Don't make any mistakes through practice because you just need every lap possible. Every time you do a lap around there, you get faster. It doesn't matter how many times you've been there. Actually, it's the same.
Oh, it's so true. I remember, I think it was, we've driven up a couple of times together over the years. And I think, most people have the ritual of when you do get there, and if you are driving there, I mean, even if you flew there, generally you're in a rental car anyway from the airport.
Yeah.
But you drive a lap of the track, right, because you're there early. And I remember I turned up late last year when I was running the Trans Am, but I was driving the truck. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm still doing the lap. So I've got photos of me stopped at Skyline with my truck there and everything because I was like, it's Richard, you got to do the lap when you drive there. So I drove my truck up around
Isn't
the
it
mountain.
like 17% gradient up to the cutting or something? That thing would have been...
It was hard work. I was like going very slow and in first, but I was worried about actually going down the mountain because I'm like,
oh, yeah.
I don't want to run out of brakes.
One, you also don't want to get booked speeding because they are sitting down there often with a camera. So go ahead into Bathurst. Don't speed coming down the hill.
Yeah, it's still a 40 zone if it's normal daytime, I think. So
I did it. First time I ever did a lap was with my dad with a go-kart trailer on the back.
Oh, yeah?
That was
that's pretty cool.
I kind of remember it. I remember doing it. I don't remember a lot about it, but that's a cool memory. But it is, mate. It's everyone says like, what's your favourite track? Mine's still Adelaide 500. Like, it's still my favourite event and everything. But it's kind of like I just won't say Bathurst because it's almost a given.
It's expected.
It's like, it's that place is like globally. I'd love to see, this is a bit off track, but I'd love to see a documentary around the Bathurst 1000 and you select your favourites, kind of like that new NASCAR documentary.
Yeah.
Where they're talking about the playoffs. I think we could have, our Bathurst 1000 kind of transcends our sport. So we could do something.
And they do that with Daytona, right?
Yeah. And I'd love to see that. Like, you pick something, you just pick like who you think your favourites are in the lead up. You really follow them in their prep in the lead up. And then you go and do interviews with people around the world that have competed, like Matthias Ekstrom, guys that have done loads of stuff on the global stage and talk about how good this race and what the competition's like. And everything. It's just...
Like you see at the 12-hour with the Euros that come over that are factory GT drivers and things like that, the first time they do a lap around the mountain, they get out of the car and they're like, holy shit. And they race at places like Nürburgring and stuff, and they still get out after a push lap at Bathurst and go, that is friggin' wild.
Yeah.
So it's definitely up there globally.
It'd be fun in a GT car because the tyres they run don't just deg straight away. Like, they can just push and push and push.
The whole time.
Do a cool down lap and go again. So, like, their quali runs, I remember last year, I think I was watching, it was cold, and they just had to keep going, be on track.
Yeah, I thought a supercar was fast across the top, but there's nothing like a GT car. You're fifth gear, and it's like... You're moving. So.
The moment I'm like, it's kind of funny because as we're talking, like, I realize I'm like, I said before the pod, it's like feeling a bit flat today. There's some stuff been happening. And I was like, but at the moment you start talking about the event, it's like, it starts to get exciting. And this time of year, I don't know, like you just start to.
We're pumped up. I'm pumped up for you and I'm not even driving.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's a wild thing to start talking about. But one thing we're doing this pod, which we'll get to as well, we'll drop it in here now just so to keep the listeners engaged. We've got AI predictions.
Yes.
I love it. I will say I've stolen this idea, give credit where it's due, but Dan does footy. I love AFL pods and stuff. And I saw he did he asked ChatGPT to predict the next 10 grand finals. And I loved that. I was like, that's funny as it's a pisser. So we've done idea. Some and we'll get to those. I think that's going to be a good laugh.
Yeah.
And we'll do our predictions as well. And of course, this is recorded. So people get to go back and check how far off we were on our predictions.
We will in the... What do we call it? Our shows afterwards.
Debrief, mate.
In our debrief, that's it. Pre and D. In our debrief, we will we'll tell you what we said in this show, even though you'll be all across it.
And whoever you've bet on, of course, we should issue an apology early and say we're sorry. You've probably taken them out of the runnings as you normally do when you pick someone.
Well, I could be wrong this time. For your sake, I hope
we say we don't pick me, but really it's not because we're biased. It's because I don't
want to jinx you, brother. Yeah, I
know. But let's get into it, mate. Bathurst specific questions. Some of the stuff, like as opposed to just going straight into like, we all know it's 1,000 kilometres. We know it's 161 laps. We know they practice for a week and a half, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a lot of practice.
Yep.
But that's all, none of that's kind of changed. We'll get to a couple of the little supercar changes we've got in the lead up to the event. But we thought we'd start with some Bathurst little...
what
favourite memories and moments that we've each got? Exactly.
So I'm going to ask you a question, mate. A lot of legends have been born out of Bathurst wins and races and heartaches, like Dick ending up with the rock and into the trees and stuff like that. But who is your Bathurst legend?
Well, this is there's a lot. Like there's some people that just have like ridiculous numbers. And one actually, as you asked, that wasn't on my notes, but actually like Steve Richards, I remember once I was sitting in the car with him and he was like, oh yeah, I was like P2, P3, P4. And like his first 5 was like, it just was ridiculous. Actually, Steve Richards, give him a shout out. He is one of he's won a lot up there.
He's won 5.
5. So, I mean, he's one that I didn't have in my notes pre, but actually I just remembered that he's a bit of a goat at Bathurst as well.
Yep.
And honourable shout out, Richo, I wish you didn't get it out of the gravel trap that year in 2017, I think it was. He
when
got
they
out of the
won with the Autobahn car? Was that 18? I think it might have been 18.
18.
Yeah.
I finished second to them. And Richo,
was
I've
18.
just pumped your tyres up, but fuck me, mate. Could you have just like left it there for a bit longer? Because
And that got him his 5th 1,000
I
win.
know. And it cost me the only one I would have had now. It's like,
There you go.
I'm like, I finished P2. Anyway, Lounsey.
Lounsey.
He is my, Brocky's like, when I said earlier, you choose Adelaide 500 is my favourite track, but everyone's going to say Bathurst. And I feel like it's the same with Brocky. It's like I wanted to go, Brocky, everyone, he's 9-time. You can't not acknowledge that. But Lounsey just always turns up, always does a good job. He's had some special moments there. And I think ones that would be like iconic for him is obviously, the Bathurst, like 06, I think it was, with Brocky. There's just special moments where he's been, it's almost like the mountain chooses you is kind of how I feel about it. And there's a couple which are really special for him. And then finishing runner-up to him in that year with Richo when they won. I grew up idolising, the supercar guys, and Lounsey was one of those. And I came second, which is great. I was happy with, I was bummed, but at the same time I was still stoked. And I got to hear, like I was standing beside him when people were chanting his name, and that's still always going to be one of my fondest memories of my time racing cars. So Lounsey is my GOAT up there for sure.
Nice.
What about you, mate? Who's your...
My Bathurst legend, funny you mentioned the Richards family, is actually Jim Richards. So Jim's got 7 wins at the place.
Yeah.
He's also got, this is what the computer told me, so I could be wrong, but he's also got the most laps led at 1,039 laps led. I think he's done the most too. He's done 35 starts.
So he's led like 8 Bathurst 1000s on his own.
Yeah.
Or something.
Well, yeah, something crazy. And do you know what I think the coolest thing about Jim is? The last time he won the race, which was 2002 with Scaife, he was 55. He was 55 years of
ridiculous.
age, and like he just belted out these amazing stints. And I'm thinking at the time he was running open face too, and I was like, this is the coolest thing ever, because he's 55. He's already done all this other amazing things, and he's still out there in HRT at the time, which was the top squad in the early 2000s. That's when they were so dominant. So the top team picked a 55-year-old because they knew how good he was, and still is if he was racing today. Like he's just amazing.
I couldn't imagine that happening now. But he was competitive. Like I went back.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I've watched that race, and I'm like, he's 55 years old and didn't look at all out of place out there, and was still winning Cup Series, Porsche Cup Series.
Well, then he went on to like dominate Carrera Cup and even Touring Car Masters. He was dominating in that. Like up until he stopped racing only a couple of years ago.
Yep.
I don't know how old he would have been then, but he was still absolutely wheeling it. And I've got a really fond memory of, I did Touring Car Masters in 2010, I think it was, or 11. I did a race at Sandown, and I remember having a battle with Jim and Kim Jane.
Yeah, right.
And he was still across everything, like his racecraft and how conniving, like he was just so aggressive and so good at what he did. And it was just, that was a really cool thing. So Jim is my my Bathurst legend, or my Bathurst GOAT. And he was a driver too, if you think about it. I can't remember seeing him stick it in the fence anywhere. He was just like mistake-free, millimetre perfect, and drove a heap of different things. And he also called everyone a pack of arseholes, so he wasn't afraid to speak out.
I do rate that.
Like he was, the crowd were booing him because of the Nissan and the Skylines being so dominant, and he was still pumped with what him and Scaife did, and he's just going, F you guys, you're all a pack of arseholes. So
I love that though. Like whether, right or wrong what he said, he felt it, he said it. I'm like, I think that
he wasn't worried about it.
I mean, I couldn't imagine that now. Like some of the stuff we've said is so vanilla, yet the blowback
you want to hang us by a string. But the other thing about Jim, massive Melbourne Storm fan. So
really? Is he really?
As you can tell, I'm a big Jim fan because he ticks all the boxes.
Everything about it.
He's a gun.
Pop in the comments who
your legend is.
Who's your Bathurst legend? Because
I'm going to extend it to co-drivers here too, because this just popped in my head.
Luffy, boom.
And do you know who else I want to mention? And he's a mate, so it's not biased, but he's
a mate. So premise of that, it's not biased at all.
His record is pretty impressive. His Nathan Pretty had 10 years straight of top 10s, I think it was.
Yeah, right.
And that was back in the day when the two mains would drive together. So he was always in the car with another Cowie.
Yeah.
And he had 10 years straight of running top 10.
Yeah, right.
And he was sort of holding...
Shout out to Nah.
Yeah, so
podcast with some friends of ours. Pretty's on that.
Yeah, he's one of the co-hosts with Gav Harvey and Lincoln Burns.
Yes,
so
they're just telling stories, having a laugh. They're actually a great bunch of guys, very funny. So go go check out Nah on that. But
yeah, from
10
a
straight top 10s.
I'm 99% sure that's the stat.
You know.
And as I said, it wasn't what it is today. He was generally him and another Quali versus the mains in the cars. So probably even harder then.
Yeah. Yeah, there'd be a few. Mine would be Luffy. I don't really... Yeah. There's a few that have just done a crazy amount of Bathurst.
TD's always on the podium. He seems to always pop up.
I would have loved to have got a podium with TD. It's always like... It's actually pretty cool. Ironically, I asked Jamie when we were going to Sandown, we were doing like a PR thing for someone, like just a little video we were doing of the four of us. And I asked him, this wasn't like on our list of questions, we were just chatting and I thought of it and was like, what's it like to win an endurance event with someone? Because getting a podium with them is kind of cool. Like you share it with your team and stuff, but it's quite weird. Like it's such a unique thing to share a podium with another driver. Like you split the duties. And yeah, he said it's a really cool, and then ironically I got to experience it on the Sunday at Sandown. And it is a very different feeling, like getting up there and celebrating with another driver. And
I've always really, not that I've done the 1,000 or 500, but the 2 12-hour class wins that I've had.
Yep.
I've always really enjoyed sharing it with other people.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is, but I've just, both times it's been with mates. So whether that's been why it's been such a pump up, I'm not sure. But
doing it with Will has been awesome. But I did think like it would have been crazy because at the end of the day, you're still just like some dickheads that drive cars. Like we're just people that grew up driving go-karts and ended up racing cars. And Shane's one of my best mates. And I'm like, that would be cool to have raced with him this year and like stand on the roof with him. You'd be like, it's kind of funny that you're like, dude, we do all these derbies, we've done so many dumb things together. And then to go race a supercar together is like, it's quite a cool thing. Like, and Jamie got to experience that with PD. They're mates from when they were really young.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I think is quite unique about our sport. It's like, that doesn't really happen. Obviously there's, in our sport, motorsport, it happens. But I reckon, sharing just 2 people sharing the same car is quite a cool experience. Yeah, I'd love to, I'd love to do it with Will, and I'm actually becoming quite good mates with him. But like doing it with a mate, like Bathurst 12-hour in the Astra with you, hilarious. That was one of the best days. That was so much fun. Maybe we can do some more stuff. Like we're talking next year, we might actually have a fun Apex Hunters round. We're talking about some stuff like that, because if you can drive a car with your mate, and this goes for everyone, not like
100%.
That it is the most fun you'll have, and it doesn't actually matter on the car. Like a banger race for us is like, I love it.
As you said, we drove a Holden Astra. It was one of the funnest races we've done.
Yeah, we're doing like 2 minutes.
The car was nothing special, but it was just anything on the limit. And that's why when people say to me, would you race this? I'm like, I will race a shopping trolley. As long as I can try and push that shopping trolley as fast as I can make it go, then I'm having a good time.
Yeah. I saw Cooper Murray yesterday for a filming thing, and he was saying he had an XL sitting there.
Yeah.
And he said he raced that. And he said, dude, it's like one of the most fun things I've ever done. He's like racing that because you're hustling it like a go-kart. So it's...
And it pressures off with that stuff too sometimes. So it's just pure enjoyment of the sport.
Yeah, you're just there for fun.
Next question, mate. Favourite Bathurst moment that isn't your own? So growing up, watching it or being at the track, what's one thing that stands out?
It's a hard one because this race has so many moments. These are all ones I'd like to hear from everyone else too, what their moments are. Because we had to think about this a lot today because there's so many iconic moments. But one for me was when Seaton was stopped out of turn 2 up against and he blew his motor and he was crying. And I just remember that because I was like, I realized how much it meant to them. I was quite young at the time, and I remember seeing him crying, and like I kind of then started to, it got me into it more and more because I realized how much it meant to the drivers and the teams because they cut back to the pit, and his dad was there.
His dad was the engine builder too.
It's just, right.
So I think I didn't know that. Yeah, I'm 99% sure that was the time that I think his old man was building the motors. Yeah. And so there was obviously a lot of emotion around that. And if I'm wrong on that, then I apologise, but I'm pretty sure that's the...
So it's an odd one to pick as my favourite memory, but it's kind of the one that showed me what it meant. Yeah. And also my old man was a massive Cedo fan.
Yeah. And how could you not be?
He was just devastated. And because he never won one, I think everyone wanted him to win one.
Yeah.
So I was just like, Bathurst is like, it's Bathurst. Like it's what it shows what it means to everyone. Sometimes, the wins, there's that one with the bag in the front of the car when HRT. It's like my dad was a Ford fan. Yep, Gentleman Jim got that done. But my dad was a Ford fan. I remember seeing him screaming at the TV, like, come on, like all these nice guys. Like he was bagging them out, HRT at the time, and being like, all these nice guys have shit happen, and they get a bag in the thing, and they
Ford
just
fans, mate, they were always ruthless.
Oh, Dad he was a one-eyed Ford man for sure. But what about you, mate? What stands out to you?
One of my favourite moments would have been 06 when Lowndes and Jamie won. But it was more around Peter Brock had just passed away.
Yeah.
And just seeing that emotion and then him doing the parade. I still remember him doing the parade lap in the LJ.
Yeah.
In Tirana. And for me and my old man, we have an LJ Tirana race car at home. So I think I've got a bit of a connection with the Tiranas, hence why I love Brocky. And then to see him drive that and then for him to win that race, I think that was pretty special.
Yeah, for sure.
Super emotional, obviously, for everyone involved. And then, but I think just the way they went about that, they did that big tribute for Pete and then seeing all of his cars race around and then for Lowndes to go get it done. And even though on the day I was always a Holden fan growing up, I was never mad that the Ford won because I was at Triple Eight, we were in the Ford, and I was like, I think the right person won that race, or the right people, but more so Lowndes for his relationship. So I think that's one that stands out in my memory.
We found out it was T8's first win as well.
We found that out in the Roland Pod. So if you haven't listened to the Roland Pod because you've been under a rock, go back and listen to it. Another one I wanted to ask you, because Bathurst has a rich history of, I know a lot of the Melbourne teams or Victorian teams anyway do road trips up. And the Kelly brothers used to be awesome at like dressing up.
Oh, they always did good.
And doing these like really funny, amazing road trips up to the mountain and making that part of the history of driving up as a team. And I think one year Dave Russell dressed up as Russell Coyd or some shit and they drove up. So there's always been some funny stuff. But if you could pick road trip or fly, what's your preference?
Oh, road trip for sure. Yeah. I think like road trip, I think this would resonate with everyone. Like we keep going on about this race like I do, about what it means to people or what it means to me. And I always remember, like, you know, when I joined DJR, like Dick was always telling me stories when he was driving down. It was a lot looser back then. It was like a car with a trailer on the back and they were hooking, like, full-on speeding.
Wineski full of piss too.
Yeah, they're all just, like, race car drivers driving down. Everyone drove to the race and that was what you did. It's the one race of the year you'd want to always drive to. At the moment, I'm flying. I don't know. I thought I had told T8 that I'm driving up. Anyway, I got my flights through and I'm like, oh shit, might be too late now to change that. So I think Shannon's going to borrow my car and drive up with you actually later in the week.
She can chauffeur drive.
But yes, driving to that event, it just seems like what you should do. It's an old school heritage race that you drive there. You shouldn't be in a hurry to get there. I think it's like, it's part of it. You drive up there. If you can, you camp. You know, or you
stop at a country bakery on the way up, get a pie.
Yeah, there's plenty of those. I have one good memory actually, which was I drove home one year after, I think it was 2015, I was in the Xbox car and I had a steering failure through the grate. But I was out of contract at the time and it was when Penske had bought DJR and they were going, it might have been 2014, but they were going back to one car the following year with Fabian. So it was kind of in that transition period where they had bought the team. Ambrose was the driver, then he stepped out after the Grand Prix and I was then lead driver and he was my co-driver. And at Bathurst that year, the car was a jet. Like
I remember it, yeah.
The Xbox car, there's moments in your career where you're like, oh, that was the one. You know, that car was probably one of the fastest I've had at Bathurst. And in the race, I was in the car and the steering failed through the grate. Put me in the wall hard, like broke 3 ribs, collapsed my lung. I was unconscious for 3 minutes and it was not knocked out. I suffocated. So it was like a wild accident. Went to hospital with the broken ribs. I was super bummed. I remember I saw like Tim Cindric and that came in and saw me in the medical centre after the race and I was pretty flat because crashing out of that race, like I felt like that was my opportunity. Every race when you're out of contract feels like there's pressure on it to get a result because you need...
And Tim Cindric, he's the head of Penske. What's his role?
He would be the head of motorsport, I think.
For Penske worldwide.
Worldwide, yeah.
So he makes the decision.
He makes the calls. Yep. And I was gutted to not get to show, you know, what we could have got. And that was genuinely one of the best cars I'd had. And I just thought, fuck, I felt like that was my opportunity gone and I wouldn't get a chance to show again what I could have done in that car. And so I was super bummed. And I had broken my ribs, so I had to go to hospital. I spent the night there. And then the next day, it was so sad. I got a lift back to the track and my car was sitting in the car park still from the day before where I parked it in the morning. And it's one of those, I remember seeing it going like, when I parked this thing, I had all the hopes in the world and dreams that it was going to be different and it just wasn't. So it's definitely a track that can break your heart. And I was with my mate and on the way home, it was a pretty quiet trip. We'd just sit in the car and he had to drive. Every bump we hit, I was winded. Like my rib was floating because it broke in my back. Anyway, Tim Cindric rang and reminding everyone that I was out of contract and I was told I'm not being renewed. It wasn't that I was out of contract with a chance. It was like, we're going back to one car and we're only going to have Fabian Coulthard next year. He actually rang me and said, we want you to come in to the workshop tomorrow because we've got some exciting news after the weekend and the performance and the pace and everything. You've kind of showed us what you can do, and we think it would be a good idea for us to expand to 2 cars and have you in one of the cars with Fabian next year. So come in tomorrow, we're doing a photo shoot and we're announcing it this week that we're going to 2 cars. So that...
How'd a photo shoot with broken whips go?
Yeah, it was fine, mate. There was nothing that could have held me down after that. And I was like, one of my memories of driving back, that's one of the biggest turning points in my whole career was, 4 hours earlier, the saddest moment, and then just like pure joy. So I raced at Gold Coast 2 weeks later. Every morning, 5 a.m, I went to hospital, got injected with a bunch of nerve blocker and stuff. Because it wasn't near the ribs weren't broken near my lungs, so I was actually at no risk. It was just how much pain could I put up with. And Dr. Carl there was awesome. He injected me like every day with nerve blocker and stuff to just numb up the middle of my body.
Yeah.
And then I did the race. The Monday after was one hell of a bad day. It was very painful, but there wasn't really much that could wipe the smile off my face after that trip home. So the road trip home, very special memory.
Nice.
Yeah. So if you can anyway, drive. It's the way to do Bathurst.
Well, and if you're based in Victoria, which is why I think we all from Victoria drive there, is it's kind of, by the time you fly to Sydney and drive from Sydney, it's just as almost fast to get in the car and drive up the Hume. Because it's kind of like, it's 2.5 hours from Sydney Airport, 3 hours from Sydney Airport in a rent-a-car.
It's not that much, it's fine. Like, it's not that much difference, is it?
No, that's what I mean. Like, it's only going to be an hour and you kind of get to have a sing-along and whatever. And so, it's kind of located in a bit of a funny spot.
You do a road trip with you and you definitely get the karaoke going.
Well, speaking of karaoke, like, I've been driving my truck quite a lot the last couple of years to all the races I'm doing. So I'm just like, I'm in there by myself just having an absolute jam on. What's your go-to?
I knew you were going to ask.
What's your go-to at the moment?
I don't have an answer. My go-to what?
Like music. What's your favourite song? What would you be?
I have the worst playlist. Like, I actually don't know. Like, my playlist, I think Shannon played it once for the Erebus team driving to Winton, and they were like, what is the deal with this playlist? It goes from like country to then hip-hop, R&B to rap to like...
We're similar. We can get our boot skirt on, or then we could be walking it out through the kitchen, like it is.
My vibe, so my playlist is like, it's just confusing.
Yeah.
And I love everything that comes up. Like, I'll literally have like Creedence Clearwater in there, a bit like really old stuff. Love it.
What's that one? Can you sing me a bit?
No, I'm not singing that. That's when I'm in the car on my own.
Right. I'm pretty sure I've heard you sing with me in the car.
Man, I've got the Beatles, big fan of some old stuff. My dad was born in 49, so I grew up cleaning go-karts, listening to all the old 60s songs. Okay. But then I'm a big fan of like 90s hip-hop and stuff. So, mate, I don't know. I actually don't have a song. Like, what would be your song for the road trip?
Depends. If it's late at night and I'm in the truck jiggling away down the road, I generally bang out a bit of John Denver Country Road at the top of my lungs.
Yep.
I've been known to do a little...
I can just imagine you...
Oh, mate, like I'm trying not to fall asleep driving the truck, so I'm like screaming it so I can stay awake. Bit of that stuff. Obviously, the modern day country stuff, Zach Bryan, all that. I think Em and I's wedding song was Tennessee Whiskey by Chris Stapleton.
Oh, I remember that,
Yeah, like with that stuff. But then, as you said, I'm also like a big hip-hop head and things like that. So it's very strange playlist. I'm pretty similar to you, mate. But love a good country sing-along, especially going to somewhere like Bathurst.
Yeah.
When you're bombing through country towns, listening to country music, there's something about it.
Yeah, for sure. Before we get into, there's a couple of rule changes ahead of the Bathurst 1000, which is kind of the boring stuff. But before we do, mate, we had a new sponsor in the last podcast. What's the deal there so people can remember?
East Coast Car Rentals, 15% off AHU15, I think is a discount code.
That's the one.
So, they've graciously jumped on board for the pod, which is great. So if you're going on holiday or you need a rental for whatever you're doing, 15 locations Australia-wide, I believe.
Yeah, that's spot on, yeah.
Hit them up. Get yourself a discount. They're already amazingly well priced, but they thought because AHU is such an amazing podcast and our fans are the best, we'll give them an extra 15%.
Exactly right. So,
and I'm going to use that next season.
Yes. We thought we'd remind everyone that one's out there. Barb's got the new phone case this time as well. Quad lock of... It was quite funny after the last one. I asked for 2 cases and they didn't realise it was for Barbsy. And so Shannon picked up Barb's case and now he's finally got one. But I
Good on you,
think,
Shane.
but it's likely we might have a run coming after Bathurst, but it's not confirmed. So just keep hammering in the comments you want this quad lock case because they're quite good looking.
I think the comments really put the pressure on after.
It did.
And it's been great. So
Quad
just
lock.
pepper them again and tag them. And then they'll
They've actually said, though, that they might let us choose a charity of choice for it to go to because it's not going to be a massive run, obviously.
Yeah.
But they might do it for a charity of our choice, which would be good. Let's roll into a couple of changes.
Yeah.
Fuel flow rate, smaller restrictor or something like that for supercars to try and slow the fuel flow down.
Yeah. So obviously a few teams just complained it was too fast at Santa, which I know we both thought it was a good thing and it rewarded the teams that worked harder and were faultless.
Yeah.
So they've made a bit of a change there. I did sort of reach out to one of the teams that was testing that, and they sort of said it didn't seem to make much of a difference. So hopefully it doesn't.
Yeah, okay.
And hopefully we don't lose what I thought was a good thing from Sandown. Yeah. So they've changed that.
There's probably a few people on the fence about that one, whether it's a good thing or not. I think we're on the same page. Like I think I would love if fuel never covered even a wheel change. Like if we could separate them somehow, because I just love seeing the crews under the pump and getting their job done, and like it also heightens their emotion when they nail it. You see them come in the pit, and at the Enduros, I get to see them high-five them when they know they've done a good job. So when fuel covers it, it takes a bit of that away.
I think people just like to try and fair enough too, I guess, is minimise. It's such a hard, so many things can go wrong through the day. They're trying to minimise a potential risk.
Yeah.
So I see how some teams and some people would think, yep, it's a good thing because they're just minimising another potential thing to go wrong.
Well,
but then
brake changes, I think that's like their priority, isn't it? Is because the brake change is they're struggling to get it done in under the fuel time.
Yeah.
But does that not like, I feel like the pressure should still be on, and if you get it wrong, the car ends up in a fence. Like it's kind of one of the, not...
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
It's one of those things that's like, well, if it takes 30 seconds because something goes wrong, it takes 30 seconds.
Yes, that's right.
That's just like, that's the penalty of, if I run up the escape road and have to do a U-turn, it's slower. And, that's just the risk you take when you brake deep. And it's the same as if you're trying to be fast when you do a wheel change or a brake change, you run into the risk of making a mistake.
Yeah.
And I reckon... Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's bad to see some fluctuation in the pit stops sometimes.
Yeah, and as I say, from what I've been told, it hasn't made much of a difference to that. So hopefully that's the case, and then it's just they've done it for the sake of it. The other thing, mate, is the full course yellow's got a bit of a tune-up.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Again, it's probably like the fuel flow thing. I'm not sure it'll make much difference. I think that reading some of the comments online and the feedback that has been given from the fans, I think they've kind of missed the ball a little bit with, they've eliminated that there's no guarantee there'll be 2 laps, but the full course yellow, it's still such a big disadvantage to pit under green. I think you're just going to run as long as you can in case there's one, even if there's the risk of double stack, because you've got 15 seconds to drop below 120. So every driver's just going to maximise the distance between their teammates anyway, slow down a bit earlier, whatever they have to do, because it's still going to be better to pit under full course yellow. But then if... it still comes back to, I actually really like the full course yellow program. I think it's a good thing, but it needs tweaking, and they've tweaked it, but I don't think they've done it in the right way. I think we could have closed the pit lane for full course yellow, and then it's up to the teams to just, then you're running the risk. As long as you go, like you're running the risk of a full course yellow coming out and then having to make the stop under yellow, or if it doesn't go to safety car, you're back to green. But I don't know. I think closing the pit lane is probably the only solution I could see that would actually fix it for the fans and then bring it back to why the full course yellow is intended. It's there for safety, and I get that. I think like Jamie said, I think it is a great thing for that.
Neutralise the circuit so you can do what you need to do and then go racing.
But it shouldn't sort of have as much of an impact on strategy as it probably does.
Yeah.
And maybe closing the lane would fix that.
The other thing I saw they changed after Sandown was they've rewritten the rules so you can't serve a penalty under full course yellow because there was a grey area there.
Oh, yeah.
So BJR could have actually done it, and they didn't. They served it again because they thought they couldn't, because you couldn't do that. Normally you can't serve a penalty under safety car, right?
Yeah.
But it actually didn't stipulate full course yellow.
Right.
It's a different process. So they've actually gone back and rewritten those rules so that now at Bathurst you cannot serve a penalty under safety car or full course yellow.
Yeah, okay. Which is a good thing.
Yeah, I agree, because the penalty gets given, say if it's 15 seconds, it's meant to be 15 seconds of green racing, where 15 seconds under yellow is a lot less.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
Both of them, I'm not sure, have a massive impact, so which is a positive. But at least they are trying to, not with the fuel flow, but the full course yellow, I think, should be like an evolving thing. Maybe we keep learning with what works and keep looking at feedback.
Yeah.
and how we can do better. One thing I would note is I saw that they said they like liaise with drivers, and I think we made it pretty clear on the last pod, like, you know, as a driver, I have no idea what happened. You know, we don't know what the show is, and it's all about the show and putting jeopardy back in team land. And drivers always have a vested interest. So like, you should never ask us what we should do with rules. Like even liaising with, it's a bad move. So I reckon, that the sport should do that on their own independently and make
100%.
And then we live with it, right or wrong. It will benefit some and disadvantage others, but that's the way it goes.
It's a safety procedure, so whoever calls those shots should be, what's the safest way for us to do this, for what you need to do to go and get a car out of the gravel or whatever, someone's on fire.
Yeah.
That should be why it's done.
Yep.
New segment, which you touched on, so Dan Does Footy, you saw him do this. We've asked AI because it seems to be the flavour of the month.
Oh, it's always got the answers.
Well, yeah, and whether they're right or wrong, I'm rolling with them. But so we've asked AI a couple of questions for its predictions, and then we're going to give obviously my predictions and Scotty's predictions. So the first question that we asked it, mate, is we said, what does it think the pole time is going to be at Bathurst this year? Obviously we've gone off it being dry.
Where is it? I've lost that in my notes here, Barbs.
AI predictions.
Oh, there we go. The massive headline that says AI predictions.
That's the one.
We'll pause for a sound check. Oh, there we go.
Oh, lovely.
Onto another cheeky cider. Yes, AI predictions. So poll time. It didn't give me. It always gives you it gives you a window. And when I asked it to be more specific, it always just goes in the middle. So it's actually giving us poll time prediction.
Just pick one of the two.
By AI is a 2-minute 3.0.
It's gone 3 flat.
Yeah, and it's definitely based on like the old car thing, like the Scotty Mac lap of the Gods lap.
It's put a lot of faith in the guys out there. It's going to be hooked up. But
yeah, Will, I want you on pole, mate, and a 2-minute 3.0 is what AI is predicting.
Yeah, I reckon you can do a 2.29. My predictions for the pole time is I've put it down at a 2:05.4.
Yeah, I think that's more realistic. I've gone 2:05.8. I did cheat. I looked back at the 500 pole time and it was 2:05.9, and I thought, surely after all this time they've found a 10th up their sleeve. So I've gone 2:05.8.
Okay, well, I've gone 4/10 up the road on you. It's pretty standard. We also asked it how many safety cars it thinks we're going to see across the race.
The annoying thing here was we both reckon it was pretty good.
I reckon it's spot
AI's
on.
predicted 6 safety cars, which it's actually
one an hour.
And it gives you the breakdown on why, like it based on history and how regularly they come out. So yeah, it's picked 6. What do you think is the realistic number?
I thought it was bang on, but I'm never going to agree with the computer. So I've gone 8. I reckon it's going to be an absolute shit fight up there.
Yeah. Actually, all right, we haven't put this. What's the first lap of a safety car then? Which lap is going to be first safety car?
Okay, good question. Lap 1.
Lap 1?
Yep.
Really?
Mains are starting.
Yeah, but you just said that Sandown mains are starting. So, oh no, that was Will that said.
Go on hammer and tong, mate. I'm saying lap 1.
Sorry, Will said the mains are starting, so the high risk zone is when the co-drivers are in. I've said 5 safety cars, and I reckon lap 70.
Wow.
I reckon it's going to be like.
So it'll be a co-driver.
It'll be deep for the co-drivers, yeah.
Co-driver, okay.
I hope it's not me.
Jesus.
Top 3 predictions. We'll roll through these pretty quickly. AI predicted Brock and Jamie for the W, Chaz and Lee, then Will and your main man Scott here for P3.
It predicted you.
It did.
What a dog.
I know. I'm going to send a DM to AI somehow.
We've again, with our predictions, we've left Scotty and Will off the table because it worked at Sandown. So we've just rolled with that.
We are completely biased, and there's no way we wouldn't be.
We've rolled with that logic. But, Scotty, who you got, mate, for your predictions for the podium?
I'll start with the third which I was doubting this now, but I think Cam and Moff will sneak onto the back of the podium.
Why are you doubting it?
Because of your predictions. I think yours, when you told me earlier, I think you stole a couple of good ones. Yeah, I think you might have nailed it. But I just thought Cam and Moff were there all day. I raced around with Moff most of the day at Sandown, and he was wheeling the thing. So
Trans Am driver, mate.
P3, mate.
Well.
There's no competition in Trans Am for him, though.
That one hurts.
There's no one any good in it.
Harsh but fair.
No, I'm just kidding. Then Brody and Todd, they're actually, between them and Jamie, so I've picked Jamie and Brock as P1. But between Todd, Brody, I'm not sure, because Brody and Todd were pretty fast at Sandown. I think So that's my top 3 though. Cam for third, Brody for second, and Brock for the win. With their co-drivers, of course. They're going to partner them for the day. They're not doing it on their own. But who are yours, mate? I think you've got a couple of bangers in here. I left Chaz and Lee off there too. Nothing against them. Everywhere I looked, including fucking AI, everyone's predicting them as favourites, and they won it.
Well, they did dominate that year.
They dominated things. So I'm like, nah, I'm not going to put them in there.
All right. So my predictions are for third. I've got James Golding and David Russell again.
Yep. I reckon that's the one that I thought, it's a T8 car as well. Like they got it sorted at the minute.
Yeah, and they'll be running on the confidence from Sandown, and they've just had a test day, which they didn't do pre-Sandown.
Yep.
So I've got Golding and D-Russ in third. I've got Anton and Tony D'Alberto, Anton Di Pasquale and Tony D'Alberto for second at DJR. Again, Tony, he always seems to be popping up there somewhere. Yeah. And I think, and with Anton, they've been on the podium in the past. And then for first, I've got Chaz and Lee. So
just sad. So you've left T8 off the podium completely, mate.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I can't say you.
I'm not going to take it personally, but actually, yes.
I can't say you.
Yeah, you're not allowed to.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
we all know where you'd put me.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Fifth. So I've got Chaz and Lee with the win. So hopefully Brucey will be happy with that one.
Yeah, actually, that's right. Yeah, you've put him down as the who forgot last week.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty much it for the preview of Bathurst. It is one of those things, mate. There's so many variables, and Bathurst is an unpredictable beast. So I don't think there's.
We've got our favourite section though, so don't turn your radios off, guys.
Keep the radios on. We've got the fan memos coming up next, so we're going to crack in them. We've had some really good ones actually this week, so let's get into them.
And we've gone worldwide.
We have, Mr. Worldwide.
What do you got? Chuck your headphones on, mate.
Don't tell me what to do.
Just did. You'll obviously edit out this dead time.
No, this stays in. All right, we're back. We've got the voice memos up next, one of our favourite bits of the show, and appreciate everyone sending them in. Yep. If you don't know what these are, if you're a first-time listener, we post online on our socials a couple of days out from the pod normally, but we ask everyone to send in a voice recording. And it doesn't always have to be serious. It can be a funny one. It can just be a thought you've got about supercars, what you might like to see done differently. But for this one, we asked people to give us predictions and ask us any questions they would like in the lead up to Bathurst.
Yeah, and if you are looking for the link to it, is in the link tree in the bio of the Apex Hunters Instagram page.
It is too.
So the link sits there permanently. So even if we haven't said, hey guys, give us a question, you want to send us one, we constantly check it. So just fire something through to us, and then it's there. So if you are looking for it, hit up the Instagram page for Apex Hunters United, and it's in the link bio.
While we're at it, give us a sub. Turn the notifications on, all that jazz, so that you know when we're doing it next time. All right, here we go.
Hey guys, love the podcast. Quick question around qualifying for the Enduros / Bathurst. Do you think there's any value in having the Coes actually qualify the car as well, and then you take an average or a combined total of the two to set the grid order? So that way you're actually putting more pressure on co-drivers and can reshuffle the grid pretty quickly from the favourites at the front. And the second part, I guess, have you got a Where's Wallow costume for the weekend, Scotty? So you can just keep popping up in the back of shots and really annoy the powers that be.
What do you think there, Barbs? What's your thoughts on that, mate?
I don't hate the idea. I think what it would do is it would obviously put pressure on Coes, and it would make a fast Coe more valuable.
Yeah.
More so than just a safe pair of hands. I think it would definitely spice things up, because I'm sure we would then see probably the odd mistake and damage and things like that. So I don't know if the teams would love it.
It's only quality. I like it. I actually think that it would be a good idea to do an accumulative lap time, because like you contribute in the race. So maybe you could contribute in the start position as well by doing a split quali. Yeah. You do co and then combine the times.
Well, it kind of goes back to what the co-driver races used to be at Santa, right? Set the grid. And that it's another way of kind of doing that. Yeah. So if you didn't want them to just do like a qualifying session, I still think...
The races are just... I know you...
But I love it. As a fan... Like
I need to take my driver's hat off.
Entertainment Plus, man. I thought it was always something that I really look forward to. I thought it gave guys the opportunity to get the spotlight on them and show their worth and their racecraft and their speed.
I reckon what you could do is make it a rolling start if you to do it, because
didn't that get torn to shreds on?
It actually did. It wasn't a popular take. But maybe if you did a co-driver race, you do it as a rolling start only, and I only say it because, like, I still wouldn't be bad. I've done like 300 and something starts. But I think there's some coes that don't get chances, and you don't get much practice in these cars. So actually doing a standing start in them.
You all get test days, mate. Do a couple of fucking starts. Come on.
Yeah, I know, but we're talking about like you're only allowed to do like 2 so you don't damage the clutch because of the cost.
They're going to have to buy another clutch.
Seems like a them problem.
Yeah, correct.
I pass it over to them. That's what I say to my nephew when he complains. I said, it seems like a you problem, dude.
Yeah.
Unless it's serious, I don't want to know about it.
As a fan watching at home, I want Coey races or, as he suggested, a Quali. I just want to see Coey's having a go. How fast is the Coey? That's what I want to know. On a good set of tyres, how quick can the Coey go? As a fan at home that's interested, I want to know that.
Fair.
I like it.
I think coes should definitely, good question. I actually think it's a good idea. We should do it. Next one.
Hey, boys, just a quick one. Trying to buy a shirt from you lads to support the pod, but $55 for a shirt plus another $10 in postage is a bit stiff. Any chance you guys can revisit the pricing on your website, because that's pretty strong. $65 for a shirt, eh? Straight.
Well, I mean, there's a good reason why I'm not in one, mate. I can't afford it. There's a
hang on. Let me get out of the. When I've got Bluetooth open,
right.
Let's close that up. When I got my phone up, it seems to mess with the mics. Anyway, let's carry on.
It is. Thank you for your feedback. We take all feedback seriously. And Scotty, you can explain how it runs on the merch store.
Yeah, well, we try and keep the price as competitive as possible, I'll be honest, to the point where our group chat, there's 4 of us in it with Shane Foster, who started with Shane and you and I. And I lost 41 cents on a hat when I introduced our new hats. I tried to keep it so cheap that the postage cost us money. And Foster sent me a message and said, Scott, how the fuck do we lose 41 cents when we sell a hat? But the pricing, unfortunately, we're just not big enough to like import or get a heap of stock. So everything is
made to order. We can't hold stock.
Yeah, it's just drop shipping. But the pricing on it, I can guarantee, is like
there's no profit in it. We don't make any profit.
Like $3 a jumper. Obviously, I lost 41 cents on our hat, so we had to up that by 42 cents at least. But I will say there are different shirts on there, and I improved the quality. So the one I'm wearing, I think, is the one you're talking about. And yeah, I just wanted better quality because I want everyone to wear it, but then I don't want anyone to get it and it not last. So I just went on the AS color selection and picked the ones that I actually wear as blanks and did it. So apexhuntersunited.com, but I'll check that price and see what we can do if it's I don't, but I'm pretty sure they're just like that's what they are. But I'll have a look, mate, and we will check it out. Let's roll into the next one.
G'day, it's Melbourne Dave here.
G'day, Dave.
Scott and Elliot. My question is, who's going to be the first team to be out on Sunday? Thank you.
I like that one.
Was it Melbourne Dave? Is that what you said at the start, Melbourne Dave?
Yeah, Melbourne Dave.
Melbourne Dave, ripping question. Thank you for asking.
It's a tough one.
Because I'm going to sound like a prick no matter who I choose.
Yeah. You go first then, because I don't upset anyone, luckily.
Yeah, no, everyone loves you. Who am I going to say is out first? Far out, Dave. You've absolutely stumped me. I'm going to say the BJ, Jackson Evans and Dean Fiore entry is what I'm going to say.
Dean's such a good bloke.
And I don't, and there's that's purely because they popped into my head. There's no malice there, or I don't have a reason to why that would be. I'm just guessing.
I can't believe you're doing that to him. Actually, they'll probably win the race next to that. The way you choose people.
Good on them. If that's what happens, you're welcome, boys.
Yeah. It is a really hard question.
Get off the fence, Switzerland.
Fuck, mate. Give me a second. You took a while. First person to go out, put it in the comments. Everyone's going to be sitting there screaming names at us right now.
Yeah, do it. Who do you reckon? Make a call. Get off the fence. There's going to be an article about this tomorrow.
It's going to be a co-driver in the car at the time.
God, you're really backing.
I'm really, backing a coach.
You got 3 seconds. 3, 2, I don't care what it is. 1, go.
Kyle Allen. I don't know.
All right, so DJR, so Will Davo's car.
Yeah, Davo's car. It wasn't even his fault at Sandown either. I don't know why I picked them. I'm just like, I feel like it'd be someone that's racing hard because they're in contention.
Don't try and sweeten the deal, mate. You've called it. Thank you for the question.
That's hard. I feel bad picking the first person to crash.
Doesn't mean it's going to happen, mate.
I know, but...
And whatever I said doesn't happen. So Jackson and Dino, you guys are safe as houses. Don't worry about it.
All right, let's do another one.
Scotty, Barbs, the Disruptors, Apex Hunters United. How the bloody hell are you? Hope you're getting ready for the big one. Scotty, this question's for you, mate. Do you finally get an opportunity to co-pilot with Will Brown aboard Swill Air to the mountain this year? or is he making you drive, or will you be slumming it in economy on a commercial flight? What's the move there, mate? And also, hope you get some television coverage. Go well.
Cheers, mate. Appreciate the support. No, I don't get the call up on Swill Air. He flies in from Toowoomba, so it's a bit of a detour to come down to Melbourne and get me. If we were to get the W, I dare to dream. I don't really like thinking about it. If we did, I'd probably, I don't know, you could fly me somewhere, surely. Like,
I'd go back to Toowoomba, fuck it.
just keep the party rolling.
What was his name?
I'll play the start again.
Scotty, Barbs, the Disruptors, Apex Hunters United. How the bloody hell are you?
Didn't say his name in there.
Did it say it on the list? No. I was just going to say, he's got he's got a voice for radio.
He does have he has a great voice.
If you ever give me the lemon and sauce, mate, you can get him, I reckon. He's got a lovely tone.
You could definitely do our intro, that's for sure. Let's do another one here.
Hi guys, Noel here from Ireland. Can't wait to travel over to my first Bathurst 1000 next week. Just wanted to get your opinions with the recent news that Toyota's joining the sport. Do you think that the category can do more to attract more international visitors, race watchers, and then manufacturers as well, like they've already done with having SuperView available outside Australia in the past, to really start growing the sport outside of Australia and New Zealand? And is it a worthwhile exercise? Thanks. Looking forward to seeing you next week.
What a legend.
I was about to say the exact same. Thank you, Noel. Oh, this microphone is doing my head in. You hear that echo?
Yeah, I can, but I'm not carrying on about it.
There we go. I'm very fiery. Oh, it's been a stressful day, Elliot.
Niall, sorry. Niall from Ireland.
How sick's that? We're trending globally.
We're global. Mate,
might only have one.
First off, come and see us. If you see us in the pits, come say good day. Because
definitely come and say hello. I would love to hear from you. If you
we need a selfie with Niall.
Pop down and say good day from all the way from Ireland. Yeah.
To answer your question, I think it's great that Toyota's in. I was actually chatting to a mate about this the other day. You know, that whole JDM crowd, which is sort of another generation, it's going to feed to them. So hopefully bringing some more younger people to our sport, which is amazing. With the international viewing, for those that haven't listened to the Roland Dane pod, he sort of covers off on that. So basically what Roland thought was a good idea, and I think he said it works in other championships around the world that are based in other parts, that they stream it for free on YouTube, but they'll geo-block wherever the race is happening that has the broadcast right. So for us in Australia and New Zealand, we can't then cheat the broadcasters out of viewing it via them, but for you in Ireland or Japan or America, wherever you're watching, you can stream it for free on YouTube, which I think is just such a great idea to help get the international eyeballs, especially now that we have Toyota coming into the series. And I think that'll help also with the drivers' recognition to be able to go and do other things in GT globally and all that other stuff as well. I think it'll open doors for everyone. So
definitely. And I hadn't thought about it in a long time, but the co-driver racing at Gold Coast that they used to do with the international driver was one that RD brought up again, where once that stopped, we kind of fell off the face of the earth in terms of global reach, because a race like that, it's an amazing opportunity to bring internationals from around the world to showcase our sport. And it was always exciting racing. But to bring in other people, you leverage off their platforms as well, and we get a lot more reach. So I would love to see international drivers come back for at least a one-off again, like a Gold Coast. Maybe do a track. No, actually it was good action. I think
I thought it was, again, entertainment plus. And I think just thinking about drivers getting other opportunities as well, you think back to then too, like Shane went and did some GT stuff overseas, so did Chaz. And a lot of that gets based, I'm sure, of when those guys would come over, they would go, fuck, these guys can wheel a race car. And they take that back to their teams. And when they're doing endurance races in their homeland, they go, well, I drove with Scotty. He was amazing. It opens doors. Like Frosty went and did Brazilian stock cars.
Yep. And I think that was through contacts he met. You're right. Like exactly right. So it does open up opportunities for us to go and do other things. And the thing that I love is seeing people like Scotty Mack, and obviously we know how good he is, and if there was any question about it while he was here, he certainly put that to bed by doing what he's doing in America. Yeah. But it's cool to see guys go over and race at that level and do well, because it puts everything we do back here in perspective. You know, it gives credibility to everyone that's doing well here.
Yep.
So the more we can bring people here is great, and then the more we can then create opportunities for our drivers to go do things internationally would be good as well.
And obviously from commercial partners, I mean, the more eyeballs, the better, right? So if we can get them overseas, fantastic.
I'm just sitting here as well. How wild is it that someone in Ireland is listening to our pod and is coming over to the Bathurst 1000? I think that's great.
Yeah. No, it's so cool. What's next?
I think that's the last memo, mate.
Was it?
Yeah, I think that was the last one we had selected for tonight.
Okay, I thought we had one from London.
No, that was the RD pod.
Sorry. Yep.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
so we had 5 there. But anyway, it's been good fun. Keep sending those memos in. There was a lot that came in actually in the last couple of days. So we just selected a few of those to get through tonight. It's a quick one. We've got, Bathurst 1000 next week. Cannot wait.
Yep.
Appreciate the support. If you can, jump on apexhuntersunited.com. I will check out the prices on our merchandise. Thanks for the feedback. Keep that coming as well. The idea is to be as transparent as possible. We are completely independent. Our thoughts are our thoughts, and we very clearly like to express them.
Yeah, she's a non-for-profit, that's for sure. Scotty, good luck, mate, to you and Will at
Thanks,
the 1000.
dude.
Can't wait. I'll be there in pit lane. I'm not on. I apologise to the fans that wanted me to get my loudmouth on after a couple of beers, but I have said I will break my my drinking drought on Sunday night if you guys get it done.
Yeah.
So
I don't really want to think about it. Let's just...
well, you are now.
I get nervous thinking about it. Let's just roll up there and do my job. But if you're listening to this podcast as well, come say g'day. And you're a Bathurst, come say hello. Very much would love to hear from you. And don't be afraid. Keep sending in your feedback on the pod, what we're doing. And if there's anything you don't like or whatever, just let us know in the comments. We're not...
Feedback is king. We'll take it on board.
We may ignore it. I might just delete it so no one ever sees it. But
well, you won't, because you just put on a bloody thing that we're ripping people off blind for our merchandise. So we will take it on board. Any feedback we get.
No, we're loving it.
Someone buy a flag for Bathurst, actually.
They did.
Oh.
We sold a flag, yes. If you've got a flag at Bathurst, we're selling flags.
If you've got the flag, I want to see it at Bathurst somewhere.
All right, that's enough. We've annoyed everyone enough for the night. Let's go.
Okay, see ya.